Hey, welcome to the Madness or Matrimony podcast. Every week you'll hear discussions about how couples like you can grow together, love on each other, and understand your mate exceedingly. Thanks for tuning in today. Here's your host, Atia and Dwayne Johnson.
Hello guys, thank you for joining us. We're back again for our second episode, episode number 2. This episode is going to be talking about everything dealing with arguments, right? So let me first start by saying thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time out your busy schedule to actually listen to our lovely voices.
Your lovely voice.
Oh yeah, my lovely voice. So what's your voice like?
My voice is sexy. Man, keep going.
Stop it. Okay. At any rate, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our podcast where we'll discuss everything dealing with relationships because it is our duty to make sure that you guys are loving on each other, understanding each other exceedingly, and just growing together, right? And having that loving and successful relationship, happy and healthy and all of that good stuff, right? But in order for us to do that, we got to kind of deal with the madness of it all to help you get through the matrimony in it all, right? So that's why we're here today, again, with episode number 2, discussing everything dealing with arguments.
Right. So I'm going to dive right in. I'm not going to double dutch like how y'all used to do back in the day. I'm not going to double dutch this. Okay. I'm diving right in.
He hopscotching it.
Yeah. So basically, arguments. We want to try our best not to get in the argument stage, not argue, because you create no solution. So I'm gonna take me and my wife's situation. So we've been married 14 years when we're recording this. And I know within that 14 years, I know my role in a relationship. I know my role in the argument. So basically, she's not gonna like this, but basically, in the argument or the discussion, I have to back down because she's the more dominant person in the argument. She's not gonna agree. But
so what he's trying to say is that I always think I'm right. And you know what? It could be about 98% truth. But the other 2% is up for discussion. Okay. Right?
I'll take
so
that.
Because we're talking about someone who, if anyone knows Dwayne, like you know that he is a Taurus the Bull.
Yes, Dwayne's a Taurus the Bull.
Bulls, like, you can't tell them nothing. So, yes, he says that I always think I'm right, but literally, like, if you ever get into a debate with him, like, there is no winning for you.
Babe, in my older age, I'm different.
Okay, this person is, I just got to tell y'all a little bit more. I know he said that, but just a little bit more, like, this person is the person who, if you're talking, like, he's listening to, I don't even know if he's listening to what you're saying, but when he hears something wrong, like if you pronounce a word incorrectly, he's definitely going to be on top of that. Like, so I don't know. I don't know how he does it. Like, I mean, literally every time. If you say a word incorrect, he's on top of it every time. Like,
oh my goodness.
If I would have just said verb instead of word, he would have been like, oh, babe, that word is word, not verb. Like, that's him. So, like, this argument thing is up for discussion, but yeah, continue, babe.
So I know my role, and when you understand your role, it's not that I'm backing down. I'm just making a situation better. So I know if we were talking or we're having a discussion, and Atia is very passionate on a point, I'm not going to continue to keep saying, oh no, babe, this is, because it's creating a situation where we're both just ramming each other. If you ever saw rams in a wild and the two males are fighting, they're clashing heads and they're just doing that constantly, hurting each other. It's doing that in an argument.
It's like battle who has the hardest head at this point.
Like, it's not like you're not solving anything. All you end up with is a headache at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. Just like so within the argument, it's best, like the best practice is for you to kind of stop and listen to what that person is saying. Like wholeheartedly listen. Don't try to think about what they're saying to think about what your next point is going to be to what they're saying, right? You got to physically stop and think. So if he tells me that the sky is blue and I'm looking at this sky, I know that he's colorblind and I see that this sky is orange because the sun is settling, right? Like if I see that, or the moon is setting, right? You know, whatever it is. So if I see that, there's a reason why he's saying that this sky is blue. So instead of us going back and forth about whether the sky is blue or whether the sky is orange, it's best for me, or whoever, to stop and say, okay, let me try to understand why he's saying this sky is blue. So maybe you should say, okay, Dwayne, I heard you say that the sky is blue. Now, what part of that sky do you see that's blue? Right? And he's going to point to that part of the sky that he sees is blue. So what that did was it stopped me from me going backwards and saying, okay, I heard what you said, right? I heard what you said. I get what you said. And now I'm going to react off of what you said. It's not me reacting off of what I want him to hear me say, right? So it's me stopping, taking the time to actually listen to what he said and actually reiterate what he said, and ultimately
understand
what he said, right? That's what it's about.
So basically, we're trying to get you to actively listen and understand what the other person is saying instead of advancing on them.
Right.
Like, stop trying to win the argument and not create the argument. Because if you don't create the argument, ultimately we both won. Right.
Like,
so if it's like you gotta back, not necessarily back. I hate to say the word back down because then that makes some men, because they don't have the understanding of advancing, that makes some men, if I say, sometimes you gotta back down, fellas, that makes them say, oh no, I ain't backing down from her.
Right, I'm the man. Masculine. What I'm backing down for?
It's no need, it's no competition. A relationship is not a competition. It's teamwork. Right. It's like togetherness. Once you start competing with one another, and that's AKA the argument. Once you start competing, because all it is a big competition. Who can be the rightest?
Right. So, if he could make up a word,
the rightest. Who can be the rightest at that time? That's all an argument is. And once you do that, you start to see other things. Other things start to come out.
Right. Then you start to hit below the belt.
Right.
So it's just like, it just becomes a bad situation in the sake of an argument. And let's just talk about arguments outside of the relationship, right? When you think about an argument, I want y'all to stop, and wherever you are, just kind of like really dig into this and think to yourself, have you ever been in an argument where the outcome of it was positive?
No.
Like, no. Like, I can honestly say I have never been in an argument where both parties gain something from it. Ultimately, what it does is give you a bad effect. It leaves a sour taste in both parties' mouth, because at this point, it's like, depending on how bad the argument was, you don't know if you can come back from that situation. It may take hours, weeks, sometimes years. Like, a lot of time family members argue and fight with each other, and then they can't come back from that. Right. Or, it kind of takes them a long time to come back from that. And so that's what we don't want within your relationship. Right. In this path to happiness and creating the best relationship and the best you that you can be, like, you got to understand that in an argument, like, neither party is going to win.
Right. Look at it like the fastest way to your goal, which is marriage, or just like a real deep bond with your soulmate, is through positivity. With the argument, think of every argument as a half a notch back. You're stepping back. Each time you have an argument, it's a half a notch back. And it's a half a notch back away from that goal, that marriage, or that partnership, that deep soul love that you have for that person. With the argument, whether you want to realize it or not, it's taking you a notch back. It's taking you a notch back. Once you get deep into those arguments every day, arguments every week, arguments every month, that sole goal that you were aspiring to do, it becomes bleak because you're bringing that negativity into into your actual relationship. So
yeah, it's like it's just pointless to even to do it. And let's just listen and hear this: is that we are all human. Right. So we're not saying that you aren't going to argue. We're not saying that Dwayne and I don't argue. Right. Like, we do, but I'm going to be very honest, it's very rare that we do, right? Yeah. Because we kind of take a step back and say, like, what is this argument for? Right. Like, what are we doing right now? What are we trying to achieve right now? Like, right. Let me understand. Let me try to step into his shoes. Mm-hmm. And vice versa. Let me try to step into her shoes and understand exactly where it is that she's coming from, right? Or understand where it is that he's coming from. So it's best for whoever you are out there, if you are dealing with arguments in your relationship very often, you have to first try to, what I would say to you is...
This is our challenge.
Yes, this is our
challenging you.
What I would say to you is try to see where your mate is coming from. Like take a step back and physically and wholeheartedly listen to him or her, just listen to them and try to understand it and see where they're coming from instead of trying to rebuttal what they're trying to get you to see.
Right. If we both do that, if I do that and then Atia does that as well, that it just creates like we both see each other's sides, which won't create the argument.
Right.
Because I'm seeing your side and I'm seeing where you're coming from, and then you're seeing my side as well. So if we both just jump back and don't really get defensive when we start that conversation, oh man, that creates so much power. You'll never get into arguments.
Right.
You'll have discussions and then everything will be cleared up and then you'll be hugging and kissing after that.
Right. Yeah. Because okay, so he saw that the sky is blue, right? But in my mind, I'm like, this boy is colorblind. What is going on?
So that's why I saw the blue. And she saw that's why I saw the blue. So she's not saying, no, the sky is orange, Dwayne.
Right.
She's not ramming me. She's not I could have said Taurus the bull. I could have said bullhead. But I said Aries. So the it's random. We're random. We're beyond that point. We're beyond that point. So with that being said, just let's try to not get into so many arguments in a relationship, because ultimately we do want that ultimate goal. Whatever your goal is in a relationship, I'm sure argument isn't your goal. So, and if it is, you shouldn't be in a relationship.
Yeah, because you know what? For real, some people like to break up to make up, right? They like that. You got some people who really love to argue, because then that end of the road, that on the other side is going to be, the love making is going to be, it might be a little better for them, right?
So that's a little weird, but
but let's not judge what people got going on out there.
But you can do the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, you might, but for some people, it might be better.
See, I was just being biased, guys.
Real biased, because if that's my situation, right? Now let's be honest. If you're in a situation where your love making on the other end is going to be thebomb.com, but it's only thebomb.com after an argument, then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to start to argue. Oh my God, who didn't do these dishes? There's one dish in here, it's one fork. Why didn't you wash this fork out? I'm going to start an argument about everything, because I know that love making on the other end of the side is just going to be...
Now my last question of the day is, do you want to be in a relationship where you have to create an argument to have good sex?
Right. Yeah.
So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen,
thank you again for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed this segment, and we want you to continue to listen to us and help you take the madness out of matrimony. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope you found value in this segment. Continue to stay connected, and we will continue to provide valuable content. For more details, visit our website, madnessormatrimony.com. Until next time, help us help you take the madness out of matrimony.